And welcome to Flamecast. This is Todd Platts.
This is Wes Swingley.
And it's been a while.
It's been a while. Now that song's stuck in my head. Thank you. It's not a good song.
Well, I was hoping to get another song stuck in your head yesterday, the Ironic song by Alanis Morissette. But
it's a better song, except for the fact that none of the items in that song are ironic.
Yeah. That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Maybe that was intentional. Do you think she intentionally made the whole song about irony that wasn't ironic? I would be impressed. That brings up an item that's not on our list. Let's just get right into it since we're talking about Alanis Morissette.
All right.
Great North. Have you watched any Great North?
I've watched Great White North.
Great White North is good as well. Great North is by the same people that do Bob's Burgers and such. But one of the characters has an imaginary Alanis Morissette as her like spirit advisor. And it's voiced by Alanis Morissette. So
nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, the last Flamecast that was actually online here was the anniversary for Yoda's Treasure, which of course you weren't an actor in there, so you didn't get to be a part of that one. But
yeah, that's all right. I've been buried in work. So
yeah, I thought about having one for the Luke and Leia film, and time kind of crept up and then went away on that one. And I could have done something for Connect More, but Connect More just recently was a 10-year anniversary of that one.
Very nice. Congratulations.
And I was almost going to wear my Connect More shirt, but I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to wear what I'm going to wear for the day, because eventually I'm going to have to go out and do yard work here. So. But not without doing Chinese buffet with Corey for lunch, though.
I am not ready to go back to buffets yet. Of all the places to, not interact with random strangers, a buffet seems like the place.
Well, we kind of tested the water about, it must have been about a month ago. We went to one in Rochester, and then, there's this one that's in Casson, little town outside of Rochester here. And I haven't been there yet, so I'm like, let's go and try that one. So there should be like less people there, and I don't know. I've gotten both my shots. It's been like 3 weeks since I got the last one, so I'm like, yeah, go for it. But
still seems a bit weird for those types of places. Like I hate, not that I was a huge buffet fan in the first place, but I hate that there are certain types of business that definitely have much bigger barriers for the dealing with the pandemic, like a business like a buffet where everything is shared, almost shared contact. That has to be really difficult. And I was wondering if any of them were going to change their format to be, I don't know, some different sort of format where you just like pick items and then one person gets them for you or things like that.
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing. But I don't know.
So it was just normal, just kind of.
It could be like, a couple of people standing next to the buffet areas and be like, okay, get me some of that. Give me some of that.
Yeah.
And hand you your plate and you're good to go. I don't know.
Yeah, almost like a college cafe, or a hospital cafe that has like a bunch of different areas, a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, it'll be a while. I'm starting to do more social things. I got my second dose a while ago, maybe over a month ago now, but it's still slow getting back into normal operations. But have a regular game group that we started the pandemic by finishing a legacy board game virtually. So we were playing a game called King's Dilemma, which is a very fun game. looks ugly as sin, but a very fun game. And we started playing it in, January or February last year, and the pandemic hit and we had to go online, and it just happened to be a perfect game to finish online. Pretty simple to play online. And then sometime around January or February this year, we started playing the newest Pandemic Legacy Season 0 virtually. And it was kind of a pain to set up because I had to get a camera to set up over the top, and you can barely read the board and all that good stuff. But we were doing it, got through a few months, and then now we're playing it in person. So we're like coming out of the pandemic, ironically with pandemic, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when you were saying, about gaming right away, I was thinking, were you playing Pandemic?
I think pandemic, when the pandemic first happened, the sales for pandemic went through the roof.
Oh, I bet.
So fortunate, unfortunate game theme.
Yeah, I was looking at some guy's design for a gaming table with the big screen built into it and stuff. I'm like, gosh, that'd be nice, but first of all, I would need to get rid of the pool table first.
You could probably build, well, it'd be harder on the pool table. I was going to say you could build like a nice topper to put on top of the pool table, so you just had like an inset. That'd be a pretty simple one to lay there and have a slightly better gaming area than the pool tabletop. But it's still a big area.
That's a possibility. I hadn't thought about that.
You can't sit down at it, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the with the bumpers there, it gives just a few more inches of height where it's kind of uncomfortable.
Well, it's funny, a lot of the game tables, those expensive game tables, are inset quite a bit, like 4 or 5 inches. And I've always wondered how that would be to play. The idea is that you can play and then, put a normal tabletop over the top of them. So a lot of those people do them as their dining table because it's a normal dining table, but then you pull the panels up and you have the gaming surface, but it is below you like that. So for some games, it could be good. There are a few games out there that have parts that are just way bigger than they need to be. My favorite example is a game called Everdell, which I don't think I have up here, but Everdell comes, for whatever reason, with a tree, a cardboard tree that's like this tall, that is a component of the game, and you have to like set decks of cards and things on it. So if you're playing on the other side of the tree, you can't see half the game. So I wonder if something like that, looking down, might be a little bit better.
Yeah, we were looking at Gloomhaven and getting a proper map on the screen and stuff. And there is a site out there that it matched up with, depending on what resolution you used. As I tested it on my big TV back here, and it'd be perfect for the miniatures, putting the miniatures on there and everything.
Well, and that's the worst part of Gloomhaven, is setting up the map tiles and all of that business. So that, yeah, have you tried Jaws of the Lion yet?
No.
That's the one to get. Like, it's pretty impressive in that it gets you going on the game with like no instruction manual. It's just kind of walkthroughs, and it just builds up in complexity. And by like game 3, you're playing normal Gloomhaven.
Okay. Chris Marler did pick that up for his family to play. And yeah, his daughter picked it up quite well. But then when we got to playing normal Gloomhaven, then she brought her character over.
Yeah, that's a nice thing.
It was, integrated in there really well.
Yeah.
However, we had 2 games going on at the same time, one on either side of the pool table. And then, Wade's family came, and Emma just kind of lost interest at that point because, more kids. And yeah, we couldn't get her to finish. So we had to take over a character for her.
Yeah, we had a Gloomhaven, the original Gloomhaven group going, and it was just tough to get people together very regularly. And that game has so many missions that, we got through 5 or 6, and then now 2 of the people have moved. Like 2 of the people don't even live here anymore. So I got rid of it. I sold it off to somebody. because
Oh
we've
my
only
god.
played a little. But
So
we
how
have
much,
Jaws of the Lion, so
how much did you sell it off for?
I think $100 because
Okay.
it was a friend, so I was happy to get rid of it for cheaper, but it was barely used. So
I've seen a couple of them go for actually $100 at the Nerd and Out store in Rochester. So I'm like, wow, for as much as Chris paid for that game, because he paid for it when it was still
oh, did he pay a gouged price?
crowdfunding, at
Yeah,
that point, and what was it, like 250, something like that.
I think I bought it for 150 because I bought it early, but not through the crowdfunding platform. But yeah, that thing, you could hide several dead babies in that game box.
Yeah, he ended up getting the organizer trays. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think,
got some of those as well because it was just impossible. But
yeah, and it sounds like we're going to, between Corey, Sean, myself, Colin. I don't know if you met Colin.
mm-mm. I
Well,
mean,
actually,
maybe I
yeah,
have at some
yeah,
point.
you did. He stayed uh, with us when we
Oh,
went.
that Colin. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. Yes. Sean's
And
friend, Colin.
uh, Wade's second son, Garrett. We're all going to do Imperial Assault tomorrow. So
Okay.
I haven't played that in like over a year now.
Yeah, I ran out of gas. Those campaign games are just too hard. I thought, in fact, this like little set here behind me, that block right there is kind of like the campaign / story games that Mariah and I are going through. And we occasionally get through, but even those where it's just her and I doing them, it takes forever to get through.
I got to blow this up here. Do I see Shadows of Camelot?
That's down below. That's just kind of in my,
Yeah.
my unplayed, but some of these are really good. A lot of them are not really like campaign, or there's been a lot more push in some of these board games for it to be a normal sort of like Euro style board game where it's just a normal style board game that has a bit of a story to it and progresses. And actually a few of those are the same game designer. He's been pretty good at it. So the game doesn't change a lot, but you have just teeny little changes that change how you play the game. So it's a good way to do it where it's not really a full blown campaign with story and everything that you have to remember.
Yeah. I suppose with as busy as you've been, have you even gotten to see some of the TV shows that have been out?
I haven't watched, so I see on your list WandaVision. I've watched WandaVision. Falcon and Winter Soldier I have not. But yeah, WandaVision. What are your thoughts on WandaVision?
Overall, I was uh, I wouldn't say like impressed, but it was good. Um, it didn't really lead to where I thought it was going, but I mean, there were so many theories out there that people had where it was like, oh, stop with the theories.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the theories were um, much more involved than what we actually got. So
Well, and that's the problem with these theories too. When you have all these fans looking at things, is you have thousands of people making up ideas. They're probably going to hit some pretty good ideas, and that's going to make the writers look bad. It's the writers can't involve thousands of people in this process.
yeah.
That actress who played what was her name?
Agatha.
Agatha. Yeah, she has been in a lot of other things I've watched for a long time. So it was fun to see her on there, and she did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not sure I love the ending at all, but I liked the lead up to it. It was interesting to pick out like some of the shows that they were parodying were really obvious, and then some were a little less obvious. But
Right.
it certainly played on that nostalgia, which you enjoy, and then you're kind of like, hey, that's kind of a cheap nostalgia play.
Well, it's like when I first started watching, you get the first 2 episodes, and they're kind of built as comedies off of the shows they're imitating. And it's like, should I be laughing at this? I don't know if I should be laughing at this. Is this a comedy, or is it a
Especially
drama?
later on when it turns really dark.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it definitely turns very dark. So it's kind of like an entire show about depression.
Well, yeah.
That was the theme of the show, depression.
Yeah, and the point where Vision is talking to Wanda when they're having their discussion at the Avengers base there, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like one of those moments where it's like, that sums up the show right there. I can't remember. I should look it up, but I'm not going to.
Cool story, Todd.
Well, if people haven't seen the show by now, they're not going to see it, or they're whatever.
It was good. I heard less good things about Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is partly why I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. And I was also kind of waiting for it to finish. WandaVision I watched while it was coming out. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I just didn't want to have the weekly wait every time. But it's done now, so I can go back and watch it. What were your thoughts on that?
And that one was okay. Of course, it's built into more realism than the magic of WandaVision, but I was all right with it. How it ended was good. There was a comparison that Kevin Smith had made even before the last episode. He's like, if they end it this way, which he compared it to this Doctor Who episode where you've got oh shoot, I can't think of the painter's name now.
I'm no help.
Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. I always draw blanks on names. Painter who cut off his ear.
Oh, Van Gogh. I thought you were talking about somebody on Doctor Who. I was like, I don't know any Doctor Who painters.
So yeah, in the episode of Doctor Who, they go back and visit with him, and they bring him into the future.
So like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they bring him to a museum that has his art, and just watching him go around and listen to the people reacting to his art, he just about breaks down right there. And then they bring him back, and they're like, well, maybe that helps his depression. Oh, but of course it he ends up the same way. But yeah, Kevin made a comparison with that scene in that episode, and when it actually happened, I'm like, oh my god, he called it, because it was like a week before. So yeah, you'll have to watch for that when you.
It's very interesting if they have similar things. The one thing I forgot right after we stopped talking about WandaVision, I forgot one of my favorite parts that didn't go the way I wanted it to was when they brought in the other Quicksilver actor. Right, Quicksilver?
Yep.
Yeah. Who I hated in the movie. I hated that actor. He was too campy, and I didn't like it at all in the actual movies. But it was funny to see them bring that actor in, and he was just a complete douchebag. But then the fact that they made him just like some normal guy, I think was less interesting to me. I thought they were going to somehow connect it to that other
Yeah, everyone thought
universe.
that.
Yeah, I think that
And I
was,
think that was just part of the twist that they wanted to put on it, where it's like, ha, you think it's going this way and it's not.
well, it was just such a like surprise to see, because you never see different actors that play the same character, tied together in any sort of, they never acknowledge that. They just act like that didn't happen, except occasionally in movies where people are like, well, you look different. I think there was when they changed the Aunt Viv in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I think there was a super obvious joke about somebody commenting on the new actress looking different. But yeah, I thought it could have been a really good way to do something innovative, especially since this was like a meta show, right? The sort of TV aspect of it. Yeah, so blown opportunity there.
And one thing I didn't realize, I mean, have you seen the movie Kick-Ass?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the kid that plays Kick-Ass and then his friend, who kind of encourages him. Both those guys are the two Quicksilvers. The guy that played Kick-Ass is the one that played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. And then the other Quicksilver is that other kid.
No, I don't remember the other kid, but the guy who played Kick-Ass, no, I think the guy who played Quicksilver is foreign.
I don't think so. Now I gotta look this up.
I think that's not true. But what's even more compelling than listening to you look something up on a podcast is watching you look something up on a Zoom recording.
You can see my my face go brighter because I've got a brighter window on the other screen.
I bought a couple months ago, I bought a gigantic monitor. So I have like 47-inch widescreen monitor. And the unfortunate thing is when I'm on Zoom calls, then I'm just looking all over the place because my monitor's so big. I have to like look left and right.
Let's see.
I think you're wrong, Todd.
As I'm scrolling down, Aaron Perry Johnson.
Who's that, from Kick-Ass or from?
Both. I am correct.
Where is it? Let's see.
He's best known for his portrayal of the title character in Kick-Ass 2010 and the 2013 sequel. And as it goes down
sequel
here,
not very good. You are right, man. That he does not look even remotely the same in Avengers.
Yeah, I know. He like bulked up.
Yeah, I've also only seen Age of Ultron once because I hated it.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
It's so bad. I'm gonna be like any movie that has the like what's the video game term? The ragdoll. Like any movie where they just have like infinite armies of like ragdoll enemies is not going to be good to me. Like the movie version of World War Z, where it's just
I was just gonna say World War Z.
That's the one that comes to mind the most. But the Age of Ultron too, all the robots that they're fighting, and that it's not interesting at all to watch people fight like 1,000 enemies all at once. And compare that to like,
you kind of have the same thing going on the first Avengers movie too, with the
yeah. Well, I was going to say the other end of it. I was going to say compare that to Endgame, where you have the giant battle, but there's a bunch of different armies, and so like that is a little bit more interesting. Whereas like the Wakanda scene, where it's just the same, whatever, thousands of those things. You just have to have some diversity in the enemies, or it's just a video game at some point.
Well, speaking of different, I don't know if you probably haven't gotten to this yet, but on Hulu they have the MODOK series.
I saw that, and I recognize MODOK, but I don't actually know what MODOK is from or what that is.
I mean, he's been, a villain in a number of Marvel comics against Iron Man, Hulk, they're Captain America.
So he's just a random Marvel villain.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen him around, but I don't know enough.
But oh my gosh, they've made it into basically a comedy. And it's kind of like that claymation type animation. And it's great. It's hilarious. There are a few laugh out loud moments there, but and then the voice of MODOK is Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
So
he's a good cartoon voice.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I wrote on his Twitter, I'm like, oh, thanks a lot. Because now when I'm watching the Goldbergs, I'm going to be picturing MODOK voicing Adam Goldberg, voicing the narrator.
There's another series, kind of a sci-fi-ish series. If you have not watched it, I think I recommend it. I think you might like it. Happy. Have you seen Happy?
No.
It's really weird. I think it may be on Amazon. I can't remember, but Patton Oswalt plays a guy's daughter's imaginary friend. He's like a flying purple hippo. And this guy's daughter is kidnapped and he ends up working with her imaginary friend to find her. And it's weird. It's hyper violent. It's super, super violent. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. Like, what was the movie with the like psychopath children's TV host? Death to Smoochie?
Oh, I never did see that.
Yeah, it kind of has that feel. I don't even know if I know the plot of that movie. I don't know that I've seen it, but like it's a dark comedy sort of thing. So very messed up comedy. But yeah, Patton Oswalt in that as well. I feel like if they do Kevin Smith, I think, is making the new He-Man. Is that right?
That is correct.
I don't think it's probably on the docket, but I think Patton Oswalt would make a good Skeletor. I could picture his voice as that whiny Skeletor voice as well. Or Starscream, one of those just obnoxious bad guy voices.
Well, that was the thing when they had the Dark Crystal series on Netflix, and you had the one character voiced by Mark Hamill. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like Cobra Commander. I mean, the guy who originally voiced Cobra Commander, he's passed, he's long gone, but he also did Starscream and stuff.
Yeah, I know they do that. That was such an 80s thing to have that kind of whiny, grating bad guy voice. Aren't they making they're not making a Cobra Commander movie, they're making a
Snake Eyes.
Snake Eye, yeah. That was one of my favorite figures back when I had GI Joes.
Yeah, the recent movies are just
they're unwatchable.
Yeah.
They have, and then like what was it, the second or the third one has, is it The Rock? It has like famous people in it, and you're like, oh, maybe it's going to be good. No, it's not. It's not good.
No, I think there's only the two.
Okay. The second one has more famous people in it. I think I was attracted to that because of who was in it, but no, not good.
No. Basically they start out by killing off the main characters of the first movie.
So
like, oh,
the question is,
dead. Now what do we do?
Better or worse, gun to your head, would you rather watch one of those GI Joe movies or like the third Transformers movie?
God, they're kind of in the same department, aren't they?
I think I'd rather have people than spiky random metal.
I guess I would probably go with GI Joe, just because I was more of a fan of GI Joe back in the day.
This is a deep cut. Well, not that deep of a cut here, but deep cut considering what we're talking about. But I heard very good things about the Bumblebee movie, and I tried watching it. Couldn't finish. I think I got 30 minutes into it and quit.
That's actually probably the best Transformers movie that there is out there.
No, it's not the best Transformers movie, obviously. The
Well,
80s.
I mean, yeah, if you consider, oh my gosh, I watched that one. Oh, it's probably been about a year ago now, and I had never seen it before. Yeah, I'd heard about it and
Really?
everything, but I go and watch it, and I'm like, oh my God, they've got a Weird Al song on here. Dare to be
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, and they
And
have
you've got Eric Idle. And I'm like, no way.
well, I mean, and Orson Welles and Leonard Nimoy. I mean,
Right.
some awesome people in there. And the what is there's another big name song in there, and I'm forgetting which band it is right now. Who is it? One of the main songs is another famous, rock band. So they got a lot of awesome people.
It wasn't Devo, was it?
No, I can't remember. It's going to bug me because I've seen that movie dozens of times.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that movie is when they're arguing over the Decepticons are arguing over who should be the leader. And of course, Starscream's just like talking. And then Soundwave comes up and he's like, or is it Soundwave? No, it's I have these Transformers here. I should be able to figure it out. Anyway, he's like Starscream inferior, Soundwave superior. That's his argument. Like that's the best like original mic drop argument ever.
Well, speaking of some bad movies, I did go see Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, not good, huh?
This is the first movie I've seen in the theater since.
It's not a good one to start back with.
Yeah,
I think Quiet Place 2 might be
pre-pandemic.
my first one back to the theater.
I haven't really been I guess you could say encouraged to go see any movies in the theater just because they're just not movies I want to see yet.
Yeah.
Once they get to like Black Widow or something like that, then I
There's
think it'll
something
pick
else.
up.
Yeah, Quiet Place I want to see, and obviously that was supposed to come out a year ago. And then there's another one coming out in a few weeks that I'm forgetting that I think was another one of that might be in your interest.
Quiet Place 2 does look interesting, but I've never seen the first one.
I've told you to watch that on like
I
3 of
know,
these
I know.
podcasts.
I think I have it on my list, but
There you
go. Just haven't gotten to it yet. And
speaking of
I
movies,
tried looking for it on streaming services, and
yeah, you'll have to rent it probably.
Yeah, you gotta rent.
Speaking of, you reminded me with mentioning that MODOK was like a claymation-y sort of thing. There is a movie on Netflix you should watch. It's a family movie, but it's actually pretty good. The Mitchells versus the Machines.
I haven't heard of it.
Just came out. It's made by Netflix. And it's funny that it's made by Netflix because it has the same voices as a lot of the other animated shows. So the lead character is the same voice as the lead character on Disenchanted. And then her sidekick on Disenchanted is another character on the movie. But it's in a really weird animation style. And it's almost, it reminded me of the experience of watching Into the Spider-Verse, where like the first time you watch it, you're like, this is weird. Like this is definitely unique animation. And same with Mitchells versus Machines. It's like, it's hard to describe it. It's got a lot of CG. It's got a lot of what looks like, it's not really like stop motion, but it looks like stop motion. And then it also has some actual like real world, video photography in it as well. So it's a really interesting look, but it's a good story as well. Good family movie. Now that your kids are all grown up.
Yeah. Just last night, I finally finished up all 5 seasons of Sliders.
Oh, wow. I was in love with the girl from that show when I was growing up.
Which one?
Sabrina Lloyd, is that right?
Who played Wade?
Short-haired. What's that?
She played Wade?
Yeah, Wade. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was She was a teenage crush whenever that show was on.
Yeah, that was like, what, late
Early
90s?
90s?
Late 90s, I think. Mid to late 90s.
Early or mid, yeah.
I think it started mid 90s and went to late 90s.
Is that John Rhys Davies as well?
Yes.
He's in everything. 95 to 2000, yeah, so.
Yep, his character got killed off.
Spoiler.
Well, people haven't seen it by now. Yeah, supposedly he was kind of fed up with the stories where, I mean, I've seen this happen on other shows too, where they just blatantly rip off other ideas from other shows or movies.
Well, from Quantum Leap, I would presume, with spiders. That's
Well,
what it always reminded me of.
Star Trek Enterprise did that too, where there was one episode where it was like, oh my God, this is totally the story of Disney's A Bug's Life. Except instead of grasshoppers, it's Klingons. I'm like, seriously?
Well, you could probably say the same for like Star Trek ripping off Star Trek as well. When you get halfway through an episode and you're like, wait, isn't this the same episode just with different aliens?
I mean,
Like,
it's
how
a
many
little
Star Trek
different when you
episodes?
rip off on yourself, but when you
Right.
rip off other things, then it's like, it's kind of corny.
I want you to go back and count how many Star Trek episodes are about colonists that are abandoned on a planet for and disconnected from human society for 100 years or 1,000 years. That's a lot of them. Look, we found a planet out in the middle of nowhere and there are humans on it. What the heck?
Yep.
Right, other things on your list, one which isn't even out yet, so I don't know why we're talking about Loki. Nobody's watching Loki.
Yeah, that's just I mean, they put out the couple of trailers for that, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that it'll be another, a huge hit again. But yeah, it looks interesting. But one that's in the running right now is Star Wars The Bad Batch, which I've been keeping up to date with that one.
Yeah, I still have the same problem we mention every time we get to this, is that I haven't gotten through Clone Wars yet.
Yeah.
And that one I have to get through Clone Wars before I watch it, I think.
Yeah, you pretty much should. And especially that last little season that they had just, what, about a year ago?
Yeah. That's the one I'm most excited to see. I'm like powering through the crappy seasons just to get to that. Although I'm on season 4, I think now, which is supposed to be when it gets better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only thing I know about the Bad Batch is hearing that they like whitewashed all the characters at the beginning. All of the Maori clones were all like just white dudes, even compared to the animation in Clone Wars.
I'd almost have to go back and look again.
I saw some great side-by-side images. I'm sure it wasn't some intentional like racist thing, just very idiotic design thought. Like, let's make this show brighter. Let's brighten everybody's skin.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I think the to be determined was kind of where I was going to throw in my Kong versus Godzilla thoughts.
Yeah. I watched that first Godzilla movie that came out with what's his face in it, Breaking Bad dude.
Oh yeah,
think of that guy's name. And it wasn't great, and so that kind of stopped me from watching any of the rest of them.
Wasn't Kick-Ass in that one too?
Is he?
Is he his son or something? Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Now that you know.
I think he was in that one too. But yeah, the fights between the monsters, of course, that's the greatest part of the movie. When they start getting into storylines, I mean, the storyline dealing with Kong and the little girl that can communicate with him with sign language and stuff. That's
Can Kong
okay.
see her sign language? She's so tiny.
Yeah. I know. He must have like really good eyesight or
Oh,
something.
maybe.
But when they throw in what's her name from Stranger Things.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot she was in it. Millie
Yeah.
Bobby Brown.
That whole storyline was like, oh my God, really? I'm like, this is going to a really stupid place. Because she meets up, but she's got this friend who's, the comic relief geek type person. And then they meet up with this conspiracy theorist podcaster, and the podcaster gets them into break into all these facilities and things like that, where it's like you're pushing the boundaries of decency here. And there was some things that were just totally, I mean, they go to the center of the earth where supposedly all these creatures originated from.
Nice.
And it's like, what's creating the light down here? It looks like there's a sun down here.
It's the core, Todd, obviously.
Yeah, well, the core would be more like generalized lighting, I would think, not like a specific point in the
studio
sky,
lighting,
so to speak.
Oh man. Speaking of which, if you haven't watched The Core, you should definitely watch The Core. It's terrible. It is so bad. Watch The Core.
Okay, that really makes me want to watch it.
I mean, it's bad in the level of what I watched recently? Day After Tomorrow, which I hated when it came out because it was so terrible. Now we're enough years past it that I can watch it and enjoy it because it is so terrible.
Was that the actual one from the 80s?
Day After Tomorrow? No, you're thinking of something else. Day After Tomorrow came out in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
What am I thinking of?
Day the Earth Stood Still, or
shoot, that wasn't it.
I think I saw Day After Tomorrow at an age where it was pretty intolerable to just watch incredibly terrible science. It is still pretty intolerable to watch pretty incredibly terrible science. But that's the movie where they run away from the cold. You just turn down a hallway and the cold can't find you.
That movie actually premiered in 2004.
Yeah. Sounds right. I think I was
Well, shoot, what was the movie about the nuclear war that was on TV back in the 80s? That was a big thing.
A movie about nuclear war. I mean, that's like half the movies in the 80s. Todd, this is Cold War, where they're Russians.
I mean, it was they showed people getting wiped out by the atomic blast and stuff like that, and it was a big talking point back then.
Yeah, I don't remember, but maybe I'll certainly
or
know.
You're probably too young for it, so.
If it was in the 80s, I was definitely old enough to remember, but
because I thought that was called The Day After Tomorrow as well, but
I mean, the name is tickling my memory that there might have been something in the 80s. That's what I thought of The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is, I don't even remember what that is. What is The Day the Earth Stood Still?
The Day After.
The Day After?
That's what it was. So it's got a similar title. Yeah, that was in 1983.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got Jason Robards in it. Wow. And Steve Guttenberg, John Lithgow. There you go. That's something we need to watch, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that when it was originally played on TV. 1983.
Could be one of those things as I'm watching it, it might catch my memory, but just at a glance, I don't know. Don't know that I've seen it.
Anyways, gone off on a tangent.
Whatever,
There.
and that was to be determined. I was trying to think of any sci-fi or any interesting things that I had watched recently. So that's why Day After Tomorrow came to mind. That's one of the things I've watched recently.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that. I probably won't.
It's worth
I'm
watching.
a stack of. I should bring up the stack.
It's worth watching from the total trash movie pile.
In the time that I've been going through sliders, I picked up this many movies.
Conan the Barbarian, I see on top.
Yeah, you got Conan, you've got Doctor Who, there's World War Z.
Oh God, it's so bad. Top Gun, I couldn't get through.
You got
what is it? Can't see it. Oh, Ex Machina, that's a good one.
Machina. We've got Sherlock, RoboCop, Dread, and Birds of Prey.
I have not watched Birds of. Oh no, I did watch Birds of Prey. I tried to watch Top Gun recently. I couldn't make it. It was really difficult.
At what point did you give up? The volleyball scene?
I wanted to get to the volleyball scene. I think it was just dealing with the horrible douchebag characters who are the main characters of the movie. That was pretty hard to watch. I remember liking it when I was growing up, but nah, some of those things are hard to go back to.
Yeah, I thought I'd give it another run through in preparation for the second movie coming out at who knows when.
I was talking to somebody recently about what was I talking about? I was talking about some other movie that had an obnoxious character that reminded me of that level of obnoxious, Ace Ventura. And it made me think of Ace Ventura is a good example of something I just couldn't go back and watch. I don't think I could deal with it. And then the other one would probably be, I don't know that I could go back and watch Austin Powers. These movies are it's such a intentionally grating character that I don't know that I could go back and watch them, even though I enjoyed them at the time. I loved both of them. But maybe I should try.
I don't think I've ever watched the whole Ace Ventura all the way through. I know I had seen bits and pieces. Maybe I've watched it all the way through once, but if I did, it was years ago.
When I was a kid, I loved it. That reminds me of another movie I did watch that isn't that new, but I did finally watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Have you seen that?
No.
I think it's free on Prime. It's not terrible. It's got the guy from Westworld, the super lovable guy from Westworld. I forget his name. You've seen Westworld, right? We've had this conversation.
I haven't actually.
Okay. There's a sidekick cowboy on there that is an actor that you probably know. You've seen him in other things, but he's the main character in Sonic the Hedgehog. And it wasn't terrible. Jim Carrey was playing a bit of a Jim Carrey sort of character. So a little bit obnoxious, but surprisingly better than I thought.
Reminds me, at some point, I'd kind of like to see the Detective Pokemon movie.
Yes, I heard very mixed things about that. I heard very good things and very bad things about that.
Well, whenever I see it at Goodwill or something like that, where I can get it for $2.
Probably not long to that point. I don't think it did very well at all.
Well, here, let's do this. If I can find where. Screen 2.
There's an incredibly loud dog barking outside that I can hear through my headphones, so it must be loud.
So of course I got to plug the Flaming Dust Stockroom. Hold on. Are you there?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, when I did that, it automatically muted you for some reason.
No, I muted me because this
Oh,
loud dog is barking, and I was going to let you do your ad.
oh, I thought it was timed just right where I'm like, oh my God, I lost him. But no, I can't hear the dog at all. So I did make a few changes on this just yesterday, actually. Of course, since we're kind of going away from the masks, I'm kind of, not that I sold a lot of masks anyways, but kind of moving away from that and going back to promoting more the t-shirts and stuff like that. So I think the mask, the black mask, is about the only thing that I've got in black now, because the t-shirts, the black of the logo didn't match up with the fabric that they were using, so it kind of stood out, and it was kind of disappointing. So, but when you get the mask, it like blended in perfectly. So, my go figure. But white blends in as a background much better. So, I added in some figures in action t-shirts. Of course, I still got the Flaming Dust Productions t-shirts there. But you can check other products here. And
I love that this website, because they sell other things, has like home and living. It just makes me want to buy like a couch with Flaming Death on it.
there you go. Yeah. Anyone out there with babies coming up, there you go. You get a figures in action mug button. You can still get the masks if you want.
As the token microbiologist on your show, I will tell people that they should still have masks. There will still be plenty of occasions in which masks are necessary, even once the pandemic is over, whatever that heavy air quotes over means.
I mean, look, we barely had any type of a flu season. Actually, it was not a flu season at all, just because everyone is already wearing masks.
I know. I'm really genuinely curious from a scientific perspective what this does to the cold, the propensity for colds and things like that, if it's just going to knock everything down quite a bit. I don't know.
So
it's also brought up a really good game that I've told a few friends about. When you're walking outside and you see, like in a parking lot or like from far away, like a pile of fabric, there's a new game that you can play. It's called Mask or Underwear. Because even to this day, where there are masks like everywhere, I walk by something and I'm like, oh, somebody's underwear is on the ground. Oh no, it's a mask.
Yeah. Chances are it's probably going to be a mask, I think. But I'm going to try to get this episode of Flamecast out soon, because as you can see, 20 to 60% off site-wide with code Find Your Thing right now.
Oh.
But it's good through the weekend here, so.
Okay. It's not very long.
I think that's it probably ends like 11:59 Monday night or something like that. So if you're thinking about getting anything at Redbubble, yeah, use your code and get some money knocked off. So there we are.
All right.
So we've got the fan film of the month, which I've had this one lined up for a number of months. So it's not really as recent as it was back when I found
film of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a guy that took Eruption by Van Halen. Well, basically Eddie Van Halen. And did stop motion action with one of the Jawa, it must have been the Black Series action figure. Bless you.
I spared you the sound.
So yeah, basically it's a Jawa playing guitar and he's playing Eruption, and it's quite something. So I'll have the link in the show notes and people can go see that. I'm not going to play it here, but what I am going to play here is a
boy.
Kenner Star Wars commercial.
I never get to see them live.
Cue this up, yeah. And go full screen here.
Love it.
It's Millennium Falcon. You have to put it together. And an Imperial TIE fighter. Batteries for each not included.
Fire away! Secure the ship! Let's get out of here!
Ships and Han Solo action figure all sold separately.
He's on my tail! Hang on! Uh-oh! The international! Yeah!
Imperial TIE fighter, Millennium Falcon, and action figure all sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection.
That always makes me wonder whether the video quality was that bad when we watched stuff in the 80s and we just didn't know better, or whether it's just the the VHS quality loss. People haven't been able to find like original footage or anything.
I'm thinking it's more of the VHS quality.
I wonder, we live in an age of pretty impressive machine learning and AI algorithms. I'm wondering if anybody's working on applying it to video. I see a lot of stuff on image quality improvement. It'd be great to see if you could take something like that, or maybe a few different versions of it. If you had two like different versions, both recorded from VHS, both garbage, I wonder if you could like merge them and get a crisp, clean video.
I think the last time I played one in Flamecast that it was one of the ones where they cleaned it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that there are some of them that they're doing out there when people have time to do them. But I mean, there's so many of these things that.
Yeah, for sure. I was feeling nostalgic for the old 80s arcade the other day, and I was trying to find video footage on YouTube of 80s arcades. Very little, not much at all. And a couple that I found were actually high quality. So somebody had probably had an original high 8 or something like that they videotaped it with. So it hadn't degraded in that time. I don't know. There were a few that were pretty decent quality. It was sparked because there was video from a Japanese arcade from the early 90s, I think, that was just perfect.
Yeah, another podcast I listened to, Stuck in the 80s. One of their segments that they have every so often is dealing with video games from the 80s. And they'll play a sound from one of the games, and then you've got to figure out what it is and then write in, and you get it right in the next episode, they'll read your name off the list and stuff.
Nice.
So for people that listen to the Stuck in the 80s podcast, I am Todd in Minnesota. So I've
Very
been
nice.
I've been named
right.
a few times.
Nice. I remember back when computers started to change in the 90s, and a lot of those games were coded to use the computer clock for their speed. So you would try to play it on a Windows 3.1 machine or something, and those DOS games would be hyper fast, and you'd actually have to slow them down.
Yep. I actually had picked up one of those for the Star Wars arcade game. And yeah, I tried playing it and it was like, yeah, everything is way too fast. I'm like, I'm not even gonna deal with it. So
well, and when it boots up and it asks you like what your sound card is, Sound Blaster 16,
yeah,
on IRQ4 or whatever they were. I forget all of this stuff, but man, games were a pain to play back then.
Yeah. Well, the first game I ever got for my system was, well, I got it when I got my system, first one, Star Wars X-Wing. which according to Matt, I mean, this was kind of like Matt's wedding gift to Rachel and myself. It was the computer, and then he's like, well, if you're getting the computer, you have to get X-Wing too. So he went and bought that for me as well.
It was good. I don't remember which of the first ones I played, and I've watched a few streams of some of them, and I still can't remember, like watching them. I'm pretty sure I didn't play all, X-Wing and then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then the one that came after that. But they all look so familiar that maybe I did play all of them and I've just forgotten.
Yeah, I didn't play all of them myself. I mean, there was X-Wing, there was
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was right after that, right?
No, because they had oh shoot, what was the first expansion? Was it Y-Wing?
It would
I
have been
know they had
Y or
a B-Wing
A-Wing.
expansion. And then was TIE Fighter first? And then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I think that's the way it went. And then they had X-Wing Alliance, and
yes.
Yeah, I think that was about it.
Too far back. Well, your toy commercial reminded me, I do have a toy to show off. And also, I know that right at the limit of my headphones, I know that Lego is maybe, everybody keeps speculating whether Lego is going to make the collector series AT-AT sometime this year. But they're making these more like sort of adult model sets, and this one is quite nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
It's nice with a little nameplate there and
information. It's a pretty nice set. It was actually not very fun to put together. All the little legs.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, a little clunky, but it's a nice display set, which I think they're doing. Lego is doing more of that. They're doing more of these sets that come in. Anytime you see a box that is like this black, sexy unlabeled box, these are their, adult series. They finally acknowledged that, like, all of these super expensive ones, it's just adults buying them.
Yeah, I know Corey has been very interested in buying the Millennium Falcon.
It was on sale just yesterday or the day before.
Oh,
for
really?
$750. It's still expensive, but for $750. I'm rebuilding mine right now very slowly because I have it in bags that are separated, but it still is taking forever to rebuild.
You actually took it apart?
Mm-hmm. It's huge. I had nowhere to store it. In fact, when I put it back together, I'm probably going to take it apart again.
Oh, geez.
Like I had it on the counter back here, but it's actually wider than the counter. So I had to get a little piece of panel underneath it.
In your living room, you need to get like a coffee table where it can be enclosed in glass and such.
Right. There, that's the answer. Well, and I could probably get a few things in there too, put some of the other sets around it.
Yeah, there you go.
I wonder size wise, it's probably not quite to scale. So I have the Mos Eisley Cantina back here. And I wonder if the scale is decent so that you could actually have it like taking off from Mos Eisley.
Oh boy.
Flying over the cantina. That'd be a good set.
Yeah, I can't get started on that stuff just because I know it's lots of money. So
it is. The Star Wars stuff, I don't buy that much of it. I buy some of the more interesting ones. The space ones, they have my number. I can't not buy the space ones. I have a space shuttle right over here beside me. The new space shuttle. It's so nice. And there's like an Eagle lander over there, space station back there. I will buy all of the official, proper space ones.
What I was interested in back in the day was the classic Lego space sets.
Yeah. They've started doing that with the castle as well. They've started coming out with sets that look a lot like the classic castle sets. So.
Yeah. I don't know if Well, there's some pieces like like the little uh transparent ones, like colored transparent red or green or whatever, where those things just for some reason were more brittle than your normal Lego piece.
They were a different plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had a number of those break over the years. And if I could go back to a Lego store and replace those, it would be like, okay, now I can totally remake like 5 ships that I have or something like that.
I remember sometime when I was in my teens, my late teens, I bought from somebody, they had sold, it was a friend, it wasn't like a garage sale, but somebody sold one of those big spaceships from the original series. And I don't have it anymore, I don't think, but it was a very nice set that I got secondhand for pretty cheap. I was super excited.
I should go back and build the things I have now, see what pieces are missing or or need to be replaced.
If you had a lot of those, you probably have this one. It was one of the first like really big ones. It's kind of like triangular.
I don't have that one. I know I don't have that one.
Because
that was one of them that was like the holy grail back then. I'm like, oh, it'd be so nice to get this, but never
I know,
did.
and I don't want to look up how much it would cost now because I think I don't have it anymore, and it's probably
I know
$1,000. Oh, speaking of which, board games. I have a board game. Did I show you my War of the Ring, like collector's edition board game?
I don't know if you did.
So I got this when they have this original like collector's edition of the War of the Ring game that was amazing, came in like a big fancy box. And then they came out with a new one a few years ago, and I bought it partly as an investment because the game itself is hard to get through. But I bought it. It's just collecting dust. I have one of the expansions, and I was just talking with somebody about it the other day, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this is worth anything, because I know they printed a limited number of them, and I looked on eBay, and I think it's selling for $2,000 now. And I was kind of like, how much do I like this?
Yeah.
Super tempting.
Well, I had something similar happen a number of years ago because I had a store-bought copy of, was it Starfleet Command 3? It was either Starfleet Command 2 or 3.
I loved those games way back when.
And yeah, I went and looked them up at some point, and it's like, oh my gosh, this game is going for like twice what I paid for it. And I'm like, back then you could still get away with copying the disc and reusing the code to actually play it and stuff. So that's what I did, and I went and sold my original copy then. And yeah, I've got Starfleet Command 2 right up there. So that wasn't the one, it was Starfleet Command 3.
Yeah, I have some old PlayStation games. There are a few that were out of print shortly after. There are a series of a couple RPGs called Suikoden that, like, even when they came out, it was one of those whenever it was, the 90s, when you would get them, I just bought them right at a store. I didn't even think about it. And then a couple of years later, I hear people saying like, yeah, nobody played that game because it was impossible to get. Like, oh, I just bought one. I didn't realize. And it was hundreds of dollars. I think I still have them though, those two. But that's changed. I wonder if that's changing now because you can get any of these digitally, right? So
right. Yeah, you go to like Galaxy of Games or Steam, and there's a good chance you can find some of those old ones. But
yeah. Well, and some of them I think are still, the console ones I think are still a little bit more expensive because people want the original, and some of those, the only way to play them online is through an emulator or something.
Yeah.
So I remember some of those old Super Nintendo cartridges were worth a crap ton of money. But even then, some of those I think are digitally on the Nintendo store. So there's still markets for these things.
For me, back in the day, it was the original Nintendo. And the reason I bought the system was because of Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, my family bought it. You'll appreciate this. My Nintendo, we got the day of, or because of Legend of Zelda 2. And then quickly realized that it's a terrible game. And obviously there are a lot of other games that I played, but that was one of the first games I remember playing for the Nintendo, and just thinking like, I've heard so many good things about Legend of Zelda. What is this game that I'm playing? What is this side-scrolling garbage?
Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah. The first one is a lot better than the second one.
Oh yeah.
Because we did get the second one as well. And I don't think I ever played all the way through that one.
I had the one with the gold cartridge. I don't know if it was all of them that came out the first round were the gold cartridge, but I do remember that. Maybe that's worth a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. All of my stuff got sold probably about 25 years ago.
Yeah, I don't have any of it. Actually, we got a new couch yesterday, and the couch delivery people were super excited because they saw that I have an NES, but I don't. I have an NES Lego set, and it looks exactly like the NES.
Wow.
So I have it under my TV in my video game area just because it makes me happy every time I see it.
Nice. Well, we still have a Wii, and when the online portion of the Wii was still kind of working, I did get Punch Out and Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Which I should really go back and play those again at some point. But
yeah, I've had some of those on the Wii Shop and the other things, especially my favorite, which is Super Metroid. Super Metroid's still so good. Punch Out is not as good because I think of Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I can't play the game that is not Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing that they couldn't do Mike Tyson's Punch Out. They had to go with
Mr. Dream. I think they called it Mr. Dream's Punch Out or something like that.
No, it's just Punch Out, I think.
It's called Punch Out.
Yeah.
I think they replaced his name with, I'm pretty sure Mr. Dream is the last guy that you fight.
Yeah. Well, I have gone back and played some things on the Atari.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having problems with my Pitfall 2 cartridge. And I did the old, Q-tip with isopropyl alcohol and cleaned the thing off. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I tried this before and it still didn't work, but I tried it again and really scrubbed on the thing, plugged it in, and good to go.
I remember back in the day that even when those cartridges were new, half the time you'd start the game, it would be the garbled screen.
Yeah.
Pop it out, pop it back in. Okay, now it works.
Yeah, the connection to the TV. I mean, you've got that switch box, and of course, it connecting to the TV. It had the two prongs that.
Yeah, you got to get the converter for that now, right?
Yeah. Well, I do have a converter, but the box itself it must be wearing out because it really doesn't give a clear picture all the time. So I'm like, if I had a connector that went straight into the coax from an RCA to a coax, that would be the way to go. But you go and try to look for those things. You can't find those connectors anywhere in stores. You can get them online, but then you have to get a pack of 6 or something like that, and it costs you almost $10 after shipping. And it's like, I only need one.
Well, I'm curious if they have those to convert to HDMI or one of the more modern things.
Not that I've seen.
Everything exists.
Most TVs still have that coax connection, so
yeah, because of cable, right?
You're not going to really be playing an HDMI anyways.
Yeah. No, just because it's universal, then you could plug it into anything if you have HDMI.
True.
Yeah, I haven't used coax in so long that I just don't even think that my TV, I guess, does have one of those. I just haven't used it in forever.
That's about the only thing we plug into it is the Atari, just because it's that old.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like when they came out with that NES, the Lego NES, I immediately, like, all I wanted then was like, I need the Atari. They need to make an Atari because I would love to have a beautiful wood grained Atari Lego set right next to my NES. So maybe
would be
someday.
nice.
Here's hoping, but I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
they made that deal with Nintendo because they came out with these terrible Mario game. It's like game Nintendo or game related Mario Lego stuff, and they're like horror show. Look up Lego Mario stuff. It's nightmare fuel. So I think that's the only reason that NES got made. So I don't see them doing a Sega or a Atari 2600 or anything like that. But that would be so amazing.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, it all comes down to rights and pay us this in order to use it, kind of a thing.
Well, and I think Atari still exists. I should know.
Oh yeah, they do.
They still exist.
They've come out with a different type of console right now.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Atari is the one that's trying to make that super expensive. I think I actually pre-ordered that thing and then canceled it because it seems to be just like a black hole of money.
Yeah.
Like Star Citizen. Do you know Star Citizen?
No, I can't say that I do.
Star Citizen, you should look it up because you'll be interested. It was the lead designer of the Wing Commander games. Came out with a Kickstarter in like 2012 or something. 2013, made like millions of dollars to make a follow-up to the Wing Commander style games. Still not out. Still in alpha. It's like it is the object lesson for Kickstarter basically right now, that this thing has just been a money sink.
Wow.
And I think that Atari system is starting to look that way.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking that they had released that.
Nope.
But maybe not.
Nope. And they keep bumping it back. It just keeps getting delayed. And I think that's when I pre-ordered it, is when they were supposed to be delivering them late last year, and then it just got bumped. Which it could be legit because there's so many microchip shortages right now that getting anything is a nightmare. So it may not be their fault.
What is it? Atari VCS or something like that?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Oh my gosh, an Atari hotel.
Yeah, it still says
And it's been a while
console.
since I really looked into that, but I'm like,
It was expected to ship in March 2020, but was delayed. Is it even out yet? Let's see. First quarter of 2021. Clearly, it's not out yet. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's all that compelling. We'll see.
yeah.
I want my toggle switches in wood grain. Thank you.
Well, the VCS does have wood grain on the front.
It kind of looks a little bit. They have a couple versions. I think one has that wood grain look and the other one doesn't.
Yeah. Wow.
All right.
All right.
Going down memory road.
Yeah. I probably should get ready too, because I'm supposed to pick up Corey in about 8 minutes. So.
All right. Good luck. Give him my best.
Yeah.
Harass Travis about not showing up.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to mention him, but it'd be really funny if he popped in like right now.
We have to badmouth him if he didn't show up.
And go check out the latest Figures in Action if you haven't already. Go back and see all the other ones. The one this weekend that just came out today is related to the TV show on Prime, The Boys. So You want to check that one out?
I've still not watched season 2. I need to remember to do that.
Well, the saving the dolphin thing, was that season 1 or 2?
That's season 1.
Okay. If you watch season 1, you'll get the joke.
The dolphin.
But on that note,
That's a bad note.
yeah, that's been Flamecast for this few months. We'll see if we can try to get monthly again here.
Hey, we snuck it in May.
Yeah. So signing off, this is Todd Pletz.
And Wes Swingley. Nice talking to you.
And that's a wrap.